The SEC working to absolutely destroy crypto. I'm going to break down what I believe is really happening.
I ain't gonna give in now. I think I gotta live this now. I be gonna be man, I'ma kill this stuff real quick. I'ma go take it to town, cause I gotta be that king in the ring, and I'm not getting mad when I'm back with the whip. Cause I am just up on the journey. You just know that I'm just going insane.
Warriors rise, grand rising, good evening, warriors all over the world. Now, I'm sure you've all heard the news if you're in cryptocurrency. The SEC went after Kraken yesterday and they shut them down in regards to staking. I'm going to give you a totally different perspective. This is from a banking perspective, understanding banking at a very, very deep level. And I'm going to connect some dots for you to hopefully help you understand what is happening. Just my opinion, not financial advice. Don't make any moves based on what I'm saying in this video. Okay. If you want to jump into our Warrior Academy 7 days for free in 2023, jump right into my revolutionary 120-day challenge. Click the description down below. Get in the game. Most critical time is the next 12 months. Okay. So let's talk about this. Okay. So know the players in the game. Before we dive into all this speculation, all this stuff, let's understand the players in the game. Jay Clayton. Okay. Hear me out on this. Jay Clayton is the one who initiated the case on December 20th, 2020. Jay Clayton left a couple days later, the SEC, he was the head of the SEC, to go consult for a cryptocurrency fund. And he's on the board of he's supporting many different, he's moved from cryptocurrency fund. He's currently working with a cryptocurrency company. Okay. January 2022, Jay Clayton, who initiated the case against Ripple in the SEC, Ripple in the SEC, now is on the board for the FDIC, which are the people that regulate our banks. The FDIC has been preparing for bail-in since 2012. Banks have to submit their semi-annual bail-in plans. This is all on their website. This is all publicly available. Their bail-in plans biannually. They just submitted their bail-in plans in January 2023. Okay. On December, or I think it was November or December 2022, they had their first meeting. Okay. Or their first meeting with Jay Clayton present there. So Jay Clayton is now on the board for the FDIC. Gary Gensler took Jay Clayton's spot as the head of the SEC after Jay Clayton left in 2020. Gary Gensler was the head professor at MIT for cryptocurrency and is a deep Wall Street insider. Okay. So now you got Gary Gensler, who is the head of the SEC, Jay Clayton, former SEC, head of the SEC, sitting on the FDIC board, which is going to working for the bail-ins for the banks that are in a liquidity crisis and a credit crisis. And you have Bill Hinman, who used to be part of the SEC, who consults for Andreessen Horowitz' $2.2 billion cryptocurrency fund. Okay. So there's where the players are placed in the game. Then we have this news coming in right here where all this stuff is happening. Here's what I think is happening. So if you got bail-ins coming from the bank, think about this for just a moment. If people know that your banks are going to get bailed in and people know that there's a liquidity crisis and you knew that you could go to Kraken and get 20% interest, 5% interest, 6% interest, and your local bank is giving you 0.03% on your money, what would you do? So when the public starts to learn, so that means this tells me we're getting very, very close to some regulation. Okay. Throughout this process since 2020, federally chartered thrifts and banks are able to custody your cryptocurrency. Another player in the game, Brian Brooks, left the head legal counsel of Coinbase to become the head of the OCC for just a year in 2020. And during the C word, when we look this way, they made federally chartered banks and thrifts allowed to custody your cryptocurrency. So all the players are moving around. Everybody's set now. Now we're in 2023. Now what they're going to do is the SEC is going to sue all these U.S. exchanges, okay, or are they going to go after all these exchanges for the staking because they don't want people, when they understand that something's happening with the banking, to run off to these institutions. Why would you keep your money in a bank? Think about that for just a moment. Why would you? And another thing to think about, Kraken is working to become a full bank. Kraken is Wyoming. Ripple has an LLC in Wyoming. Wyoming is very, very crypto friendly. Okay. So now you understand that why the US is fighting right now, okay? Because I'm going to show you something where Hester Pierce, which she's our supporter, we call her crypto mom in the crypto space. She's in the SEC and she goes against what he said, completely against. So let's look at the news here. So I want to give you a different perspective. So where we're at is the verge, this tipping point of regulation coming in. I guarantee you Coinbase will end up being a bank. You'll have a checking and savings there. Ripple will become a bank. You'll have a checking, savings, crypto wallet. Wells Fargo will be a crypto. They'll hold your FedNow services, and you'll be custody, or they'll be their bank. They're all going to turn into crypto banks, blockchain banks. Okay. So Coinbase CEO, this was on the 8th of February, Armstrong decrees rumors of possible US SEC ban on crypto staking. Everybody says, oh, crypto's getting banned. No, crypto's not getting banned. The fact of staking, okay? Staking. When you're so like in a bank, you can lock up a CD and get higher interest. Same thing, you can lock up your crypto and get higher interest. Well, the reason why they don't want this to happen is because why would you need your bank? You don't need your bank. Why would you keep your money in Wells Fargo when you can go make 20% at Kraken? Okay, Armstrong flags rumors of SEC wants to get rid of staking. Coinbase earlier disclosed agency's probe into staking products. Okay, this is all about staking. It's not about banning crypto. And so a lot of these influencers are like, oh, they're banning crypto. They're banning. No, they're not banning crypto. They're banning your ability to make a lot of money off staking your crypto. Okay. So this was the notice that came out. A lot of people thought this was for the Xrp case. This on February 9th. It was a secret meeting or a closed meeting. And this is what came out of it. Okay. The U.S. Securities Exchange Commission on it was about 14 hours ago. Today, we charged Kraken with failing to register the offer of sale of their crypto assets staking as a service program, whereby investors transfer crypto assets to Kraken for staking. Key transferred assets to Kraken in exchange for advertised annual investment returns as much as 21%. They're telling you the game right there. We don't want Kraken giving away 21% because why would they come to Wells Fargo? Why would they come to Bank of America? Why would they come to our local banks? And everybody would start to move their money over to Kraken. So we need to stop Kraken from doing this and exchanges from doing this so that we can get set up and we can get them under the SEC rules. We can get this Ripple SEC case settled so we can put some regulation in place to deem what's a security. This is showing us, to me, that regulation is very, very close to coming in, which could be, I'm not saying, well, we know we have to have regulation in order to move this ecosystem forward. The institutions aren't coming in. So if you're against regulation, well, I think we're all against regulation until you lose all your money, right? But number two, listen to what I'm saying. Institutions aren't coming in. Your price appreciation isn't going to go up. The market isn't going to expand unless institutions come in. And they are not coming in unless they have clarity on regulation. So I want to make sure you understand what I'm saying there. So here's our buddy Gary Gensler. Let's hear what he has to say. Oh, hopefully you guys can hear me here. Good. Here's our buddy Gary Gensler. Hopefully you guys could hear me during that part. Let's dive into this.
In the crypto markets, there are various ways to validate data stored on crypto ledgers called blockchains. And one of these ways is called staking. Investors lock up their tokens in escrow and help validate the next block of data. Some stakers are then rewarded with new tokens. Staking, though, can be complicated and time-consuming and can take big upfront commitments of tokens. There's also the risk that you won't get new tokens even if you stake. Thus, crypto entrepreneurs started offering what's called staking as a service. No, not like the steakhouse. Basically, if you transfer your tokens to a staking as a service provider, they take control, possibly pooling your tokens with thousands or millions of others while promoting returns. But here's the rub. When a company or platform offers you these kinds of returns, whether they call their services lending, earn, rewards, APY, or staking, that relationship should come with the protections of the federal securities laws. That means you, the investor, should receive important disclosures. For example, what do they actually do with your tokens? Are they really staking them? Are they lending, borrowing, or trading with them? Are they commingling them with their other businesses? Where do the rewards come from? Are you getting your fair share? Are the underlying crypto protocols genuinely creating value on your investment? Or are they just new tokens that dilute the value of ones you already have? Remember, if you have a stake, that's STEAK, if you have a stake meant for two and cut it into three pieces, it's still the same amount of stake. Unfortunately.
Okay, think about what he just said. What do you do in the banking system? When you put your money into the bank, they take your stake, Gary, and they spread it out and they lend it 9 times over, your money.
Because these staking as a service providers generally are not providing proper disclosures. There's currently no reliable way as an investor to know the answers to these important investment questions. Plus, when you sign on the dotted line or accept the terms of service, you are generally agreeing that placing your tokens with these providers may mean transferring your ownership to them. There's an expression in crypto, not your keys, not your crypto. You see, you're basically an investor in their platform. If it goes under, and we've seen plenty of that recently, you end up in line in the bankruptcy court. That's why it's so important that these companies and platforms comply with the securities law. After all, the securities laws, regardless of what you think of stake or staking, they're good for investors.
Okay, so what happens when they bail in the banks and you have over 250,000 cash in the banks, right? I mean, it's kind of ludicrous to really think about this, you know. And I know the SEC is supposed to be here to protect us, but I mean, it's like, come on, within the SEC, you know, this is the whole thing about it, right? So they got Kraken is discontinued unregistered offer of sales of crypto assets, staking as a service. They made a $33 million settlement. Okay. Crypto mom, Kraken crackdown, she comes back and right after this and says, this is crazy. Like today, she's in the SEC. Okay. So today the SEC shut down Kraken staking program and counted it as a win for investors. I disagree and therefore dissent. Kraken operated a service through its customers, offered its tokens up for staking. Customers earned returns and the company earned a fee. The commission argues, so Gary Gensler, that staking programs should have been registered with the SEC and securities offering. Whether one agrees with that analyst or not, the more fundamental question is whether the SEC registration would have been possible. This is so important. In the current climate, crypto-related offerings are not making it through the SEC's registration pipeline. An offering like a staking service at issue here raises a host of complicated questions, including whether the staking program as a whole would be registered or whether each token staking program would be separately registered, what the important disclosure would be, and what the accounting implications would be for Kraken. We have known about crypto staking programs for a long time. This is so key. Although it may not have made a difference, I should have called for us to put out guidelines on staking long before now. Instead of taking the path of thinking through staking programs as issuing guidance, we again chose to speak through an enforcement action, Gary Gensler, instead of saying, let's work together, purporting to make clear to the marketplace that staking as a service provider must be registered and provide full and fair, truthful disclosure to investor protection. Using enforcement actions, basically what Gary Gensler just did, to tell people what the law is in an emerging industry is not efficient and a fair way of regulating. Moreover, staking services are not uniform. They're not. So one-off enforcement action or cookie cutter analysis does not cut it. So here's where we're at, family. So basically, you know, the SEC right now, the head of the SEC, he's just throwing out these things. And the point that she's bringing up right here, it's like, guys, they've known about staking as a service for a long time. Why now? You met with FTX 6 months before their collapse. A bunch of Congress people got a bunch of money from FTX. How dare you bring up FTX in here? Oh, like the thing that happened with FTX. You met with FTX. Ripple met with you since, 2013, over and over again, asking, are we doing anything wrong? And then you sue Ripple, one of the most well-run and actually regulated company working with regulated banks. Like, guys, think about this. Really think about how I started this video and what's happening right now. Know the game. Jay Clayton sits on the FDIC board that's getting ready to bail in banks. Okay. You got Gary Gensler, who's the head MIT professor for crypto. Was the head of MIT. Now he's the head of the SEC. They're basically getting ready for bail-ins and exchanges. They're not allowing them to. So it's like they're getting ready to bring everything under the traditional banking system, and they're trying to bring it under the same laws with the same this new technology. They're trying to bring it all under the same rules so they can continue this game. And the fact that he says, oh, they take your money, what do they do with it? What does your bank do with it? Do you know what your bank does with it? And I'm sure, we all sign account disclosures, but do you read those? Like, do you know what your bank does with your money? Do you know that they trade your money at night, that every single dollar you put into the bank is someone else's salary? Your money is not in the bank, guys. So it's like, why don't we start to educate people in the schooling system on how money actually works? That would be a solve. Teach kids what an IRA is, what a 401k actually is, what leveraged life insurance is. Teach them how to run a business. Teach them how you can build a business and sell equity to build your retirement. Teach them if you have an idea, you don't have to sit inside a box. You can go out and create. Teach them how to manage their checkbook. Teach them how to actually, use credit to buy assets versus buying debt and buying cars they can't afford. Teach our kids that when you make $50,000 a year, you don't buy a $50,000 car and spread it out over a 9-year, 7-year loan. So anyways, fam, that's what it's all about. It's all very clear what's happening right now. So don't get caught up in the wave. Don't get caught up in this bullshit. Crypto is not disappearing. People are saying they're getting rid of crypto. They're getting rid of staking. Very big difference. Okay. So just try not to get rich quick. Have a game plan. Understand these assets are going to go up in value. Have an exit strategy. Make sure you're ready to rock and roll. Make sure you're around the right people. They're not going to freaking get you all confused, because it's going to be a big year next year, Warriors. You need to get prepared. So love you guys. I appreciate you. As we always say, Warriors, rise, get your shit together. Click the description down below. Everything you need.